Hi everybody, and this is Burke Lyle, Sports Talk here on YouTube. And we're here to talk about, it's May 1st. So today I kind of want to get into what I think about sports. Since again, throughout the month of April, I've done things talked about Major League Baseball. And here's the thing. May 1st compared to April 1st, when I came on a month ago. I think we know more. I think things in the United States are getting better. But in some ways, they're much, much worse than they were on April 1st. We have over 60,000 Americans dead. We have over a million Americans infected with this case. So again, right now I don't think it's safe to play sports. So we'll see how the month of May turns. Like this, hopefully, there's going to be more cases. Like by May, my goodness, there could be 100,000 dead. I sure hope not. I sure hope it declines. But the way we're going, that appears to be the case. If we lose 1,000 people per day, we're going to have nearly 100,000 dead come June 1st. And who knows where we'll be by July, but there are starting to be signs of hope. And various sports leagues have talked about potential proposals for planning. I think Major League Baseball is at the highest, so just want to quickly run down Major League Baseball before I get into detail about a potential proposal they might have. Major League Baseball, I just got an alert. They think they can start in late June, so let's say 7-8 weeks from now, and play 100 games. Like, that seems to be the goal right now, and there will be off days. So whatever they talked about in Arizona, where you cram in double headers and try to play as many games. And by the way, I just got an alert about the NBA, but if I did read about it, interview this video, I'll read it later. I think it's talking about testing or something. So back to this. So, Major League Baseball just 100 games, so it doesn't seem like they're going to try to cram in 150 games, play as many doubleheaders as possible. And there's an interesting division realignment that Major League Baseball looked at that. Where, again, I'll get into more details on this in a minute, where it'll be East, West, and Central. The National Hockey League, they're talking about starting the new season in December, potentially when they could get fans back at their games, whether that's a few fans, whether that's many. That's what they're doing. Instead of starting in October, they don't have to be traditional. That's the NHL's new proposal right now. And they're talking of a 2014 playoff. I will get into more detail of that. NBA, I've heard some talk of them playing at Disney World. Just think about Disney World. There are so many hotels at Disney World. And granted, I've been there only one time. I did not desire to go to Disney World, but there are so many hotels there, so many resorts. Again, you have a sports complex there. Now, again, it's one arena. It's not Las Vegas. I think Las Vegas is what the NBA. I think that's their best proposal, having all these places where you play mass amounts of games like the Summer League. I think that's what the NBA should look into, but Disney World is maybe their idea. Okay, so you have Disney World. And then I just talked about what the NHL might do. They might play in various arenas. There might be a division for the Metropolitan Division, right? A site. Maybe that's in North Carolina, since New York City, one of the most dangerous places in America, if not the world. Very dangerous. Don't want to be going to New Jersey, too. I think New Jersey's number 2. New Jersey, obviously number 2. Northeast is not a good place at all. So maybe you go down south in Carolina. And then I've heard areas like Edmonton and Calgary. I didn't read deep into it. I just might have seen a few words about it, is how they're safer. They seem to be safe, so maybe that's where you put the Pacific, out somewhere in Edmonton or Calgary. And then the Central, maybe you put somewhere in Minnesota. I don't know. And the Atlantic, maybe you put in Canada. I don't know. So, again, or way, way up north. I don't know. NHL Calgary Arena. So, again, these are just certain proposals we're having. We don't know anything yet. So I want to talk about Major League Baseball. So I just quickly want to run through ideas that Major League Baseball did. So in this video, we'll kind of jump around on 3 sports. We'll try not to go too long. We'll try to keep this 20 to 30 minutes. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so Major League Baseball. About 3 weeks ago, they threw out the idea of playing in Arizona, 30 teams, complete isolation, where everybody is just in Arizona. You have games at 10 a.m. in the morning. You have double headers. It goes on and on. Everybody's isolated somewhere in Arizona just playing baseball. Okay? So that's what you're doing there. Okay, so then, and so then they talked about Arizona, Florida. Okay, so you have the Grapefruit League and the Cactus League. I remember there's a video on realignment where you had the Cactus League had 3 divisions, the Grapefruit League had 3 divisions. Okay, and then within the last week, about a week ago, I heard of Florida, Arizona, and Texas, where it's like you have a Dallas hub where you can play games in Dallas and games outside, I guess, in those minor league stadiums. You play games in Arizona and you play games in Florida, St. Petersburg. Okay, those were proposals there. So now here's the current thing. And when the season will start, I just mentioned it. Um, in case any of you skipped through. So what Major League Baseball says, and I think this is what it's going to be. So they're going to come up with a plan late in May. And again, Major League Baseball is not rushing. They're not rushing to start baseball in May like we might have thought. That's not going to happen. Instead, they're going to take their time, look at what's going on in May. Hopefully by the end of the month they say, okay, let's get our players to spring training. Let's start late June. So, again, from where we are right now, which, sports stopped 7 weeks ago. And 7 weeks ago I thought, wow, this is going to be a long time before I see anything. It was very hard to bear at first. Now, to be honest, I'm more used to without sports again. I think sports represents normalcy. So that means when you have normalcy, people are going to work, people are going to school, people are out in their communities doing things. And right now, that is not the case. So I think sports represents normalcy in some ways. So yeah, it's nice to watch sports at night. It is very nice to watch sports at night. Nights are very different without sports. It's nice to study sports during the day or whatever and get up early. Start the grind at 6 a.m. some days, but that's not the case right now. So 100 games and not trying to cram in doubleheaders and all that stuff. And granted, maybe there could be doubleheaders. Maybe do try to get close to 162, but don't overwork the players. Don't make them play doubleheaders, too many. Maybe 100 games is more reasonable this year. Maybe they play 120, I don't know, in some doubleheaders. So here's the realignment we're talking about. So the MLB is going to have 3 divisions: the Eastern Division, the Central Division, and the Western Division. So in the Eastern Division, you have the New York Yankees and Mets, Red Sox, Nationals, Orioles, Phillies, Pirates, Blue Jays, Rays, and Marlins. Okay, so you have teams in the Northeast corridor, like the major 5, New York, Philly, Washington, Boston, and Baltimore. And then you have teams still considered in the North, and Pittsburgh. You could think about them in the Central. Pittsburgh's more Midwestern than Northeastern, but that's fine. And then you have the Blue Jays in Canada, and then you have the teams in Florida. Okay, so you have teams in the East Coast. So obviously you travel. So how this works, and again, number one, no schedule has been released at all. There has been no schedule released. We don't know who's playing who yet and when. All that we know is this is just an idea. All these things were proposals, and you look at them and think, oh, that could be fun. What if we did do this? So what this shows is there's more freedom to travel. Players aren't isolated. Players can be in their Washington homes. They get in the car, they drive, or they drive to the ballpark. Since maybe you're waiting a month till things are safer, instead of just, I guess right now they could just be in Arizona right now trying to cram everything in and trying doing all this and last for months. But no, this will be very different. And granted, MLB season should have started 5 weeks ago. We should be 3 weeks in the Stanley Cup playoffs and 2 weeks in the NBA playoffs, but we're not. We're not. 2020 in sports is going to be very different, and these effects will go into 2021. And when do things ever be the same again? Maybe not. So again, so you have these teams in the Eastern Division. So now I want to read the Western Division. Dodgers, Angels, Giants, A's, Padres, D-backs, Rockies, Rangers, Astros, Mariners. So you have teams all along the Pacific Coast in LA, the Bay Area, San Diego. Then you have teams kind of in the Arizona desert out in Colorado, and then teams in Texas, and then Seattle on the Pacific Coast. So like the Northeast. You have the Western, basically all the Western teams. And then the Central. This one's a little surprising. You have the Cubs, White Sox, so everybody in Chicago, the Brewers, the Cardinals, the Royals, Reds, Indians, Twins, Braves, and Tigers. Here's the most surprising one. So basically, all the Central teams, talking about Chicago, the Midwest, Ohio. Here's the surprising thing: the Braves are in the Central Division. I don't get it. Atlanta is along the East Coast. Now, granted, it's not near the ocean, but it's in the East Coast. Yeah, it's just a few hours away from the Central Time Zone. It's not far from Alabama, Mississippi, the Deep South, Tennessee, whatever. So we get it. It's in the Eastern Time Zone. But why do you have the Pirates in the Eastern Division? Why not put them in the Central? I mean, there's a reason why the Braves are in the NL East and the Pirates are in the NL Central. The Pirates are much closer to those teams in Ohio. Like, Pittsburgh's just 2 hours away from Cleveland. Why are you putting the Pirates in the East? So this is one thing that's confusing. And again, this is just a proposal. So the only change I would make is I put the Braves in the East and the Pirates in the Central Division. That's what I'd do. So again, we broke down kind of what the playoffs would look like. So do any teams benefit or not? So again, you kind of have superpowers. You have the Yankees. So now let's kind of talk about the divisions and what they mean. So again, you have the Yankees, a superpower team in the same division as the Washington Nationals, the defending World Series champions. Yes, feels pretty good. The Nationals are World Series champions. How about that? And then you have the Phillies on the rise, and you have bad teams like the Orioles. So again, the best teams in that division, coming from that division, is again you have the benefits of the Pirates over the Braves, so that makes things easier for certain teams. So if you had to pick, and who in the world knows what the playoff format's going to look like? I have no idea. We don't know anything about that right now. I think Jeff Passan wrote an article about 2014. I don't know. Maybe do 16 this year. So, but now it's uneven. 15-team playoff. You could do that, half of the league. So again, let's just say it's a 15-team playoff. So 5 teams make the division, make the playoffs. I think Yankees, Red Sox, Nationals, Rays, and then either between the Phillies and Mets make it to the playoffs in that division. The West, the Dodgers are in. I guess the A's, Angels, Astros, D-backs. Oh my goodness, the Astros and Dodgers in the same division. Wow, that's crazy. And then the Central, you have the Cubs, the White Sox, who are, again, borderline playoff teams, I think. Then you have the Brewers, the Cardinals. The Royals are bad. Reds, we don't know where they're going. Indians could be good. Twins were really good. The Tigers were really bad last year. Then you had the Braves. If you had to pick 5 teams to make it to the playoffs, I guess pencil in the 2 Chicago teams, the Braves, Cardinals. So again, yes, like a lot of divisions, there are teams that maybe otherwise would have made it to the playoffs that maybe don't. And there's teams that maybe don't make it to the playoffs that do. Like the Angels' chances of making it to the playoffs will probably be easier. The A's might be harder. Padres, D-backs, are they on the rise? So what we think is going to happen with that is you're going to have teams traveling. I mean, so again, New York City, we're in no mood to have baseball in New York City right now, or anywhere in the Northeast. So again, this is just a proposal. We don't know anything. But could you have the Yankees playing the Mets pretty frequently? Yes, they're going to play them a lot. Yet it's not going to be the Subway Series this year. It's going to be empty Yankee Stadium, empty Citi Field in Queens. You know, Boston, you're going to have Yankees Red Sox games, a lot of them. But it's not going to be a nationally televised, hyped up crowd. You know, it's not going to be fan rivalry. Okay? It's not going to be, you're going to have the Nationals, right? Probably playing the Orioles and Phillies a lot. Maybe the Pirates. That's why it doesn't make sense. Like, what is the closest team to the Pirates? They should be in the Central, and the Braves should be in the East, where they can go down to Tampa and Florida a lot. I don't know. So either way, this baseball season is very, very different. We're trying to organize it. 10 teams per division. Who plays who? How do you balance it out? I don't know. So, again, do the Yankees and Mets play each other 20 times a year? Well, the Nationals and Orioles play each other 20 times a year. Or do you play each team in your division, trying to think, do the math, 100 times? Maybe it's only divisional opponents. 100 times. And you play, gosh, you know what, I don't even know. Maybe Do the math. 100. 12 times each. 12 times. You play your divisional opponent 12 times each. Maybe something like that. And in the West, Angels and Dodgers are very close. Giants and A's. Padres are close to LA. And then Arizona, Colorado, the two Texas teams, Mariners. Okay, and then the Central, Cubs and White Sox right next door. Milwaukee isn't too far either. And then St. Louis and Kansas City, fairly close. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Minnesota, I guess Detroit. And then the Braves. Where are the Braves? Again, the Braves are much more of an outlier in the Central than the Pirates are in the East Division. So that's my one proposal there. So how good is each team going to be? I don't know. What do the rosters look like? I don't know. It appears like minor league baseball is completely canceled this year. So I have no idea. So again, interesting proposal. I guess I like it. And here's the thing. Major League Baseball is going to throw out another proposal, whether it's this weekend, whether it's next week. They're going to throw something out. So again, for the first time, we know we feel confident there's going to be a baseball season. Like, I think they're trying very hard, since you know what the factor is. These leagues make billions of dollars a year, and the fans are the reason why they make money. Fans pack the stadiums. Fans watch on TV. If you don't have fans, this league doesn't go anywhere. That's why baseball is popular. 150 years ago, people played it, people liked it, people embraced it. Same thing with football. With the changes they made. How did football go from this blue-collar factory league to one of the biggest companies in the world and the most famous sports league in America that everybody watches? How did that happen? Right? How did that happen? So then, after that, you have those proposals. So again, so many unknowns right now. But it's a good idea. It's interesting. So again, maybe in 2 or 3 weeks from now, we'll have a better idea. And hopefully 2 months from now, we'll be watching Major League Baseball again. Alright, so I briefly want to talk about the NBA for a few minutes. So again, does the regular season resume? I don't think so, based on what I heard from the NBA. I don't think so. That is not going to happen with the NBA resuming their regular season. I don't see any chance that it happens. Now, on the other hand, the trying to think, I'm lost for words. Regular season or playoffs? Probably not. I think they're pretty much decided. I think the NBA should just go ahead and play the playoffs. Just start the playoffs right now. Start it in July, which is, again, like the other sports. I don't think they'll be playing any games in June. I think you go ahead and start in July and then play the playoffs, whether it goes to Labor Day or maybe you play a condensed version. Maybe the first round's best out of 5. And then all the playoffs is best out of 5. You just try to finish as quickly as you can, and just play it in June and July, something like that. I don't know. Will we be seeing NBA games in 6 weeks from now? Maybe. And the good news is I heard NBA teams could return to their practice facilities within a week. That is could. We really don't know there when they'll be back in practice facilities, practicing again. But if you just do these basic things and start to get players maybe back into shape a little bit, it's like rehabbing, and then maybe there's NBA games in 6 weeks from now. I don't know. And I heard also the NBA might start in December, so there will be a delayed start. So again, and this could be fun to talk about at the end, and I could make a whole video on this. Sports schedules. So NBA, play the playoffs, do that. Done, start in December. National Hockey League, so they did a very interesting proposal. So what they did is, what they're thinking about doing is 24-team playoff, and just start at that. So again, I think you know what that is? I think it's mostly fair. Now granted, maybe some teams that aren't very good, since you have the top 6 teams in your division, teams like the Ducks, who are really one of the worst teams in the league, and maybe teams like the Sabres, 500 mediocre teams get in over teams like the New York Rangers, who again are a borderline playoff team in a strong metropolitan division that would have easily sent 5 teams to the playoffs. I don't doubt that, and really have 7 teams capable of making it to the playoffs, or opposed to teams like say maybe the Blackhawks. All of a sudden, the LA Kings are just 3 spots, and Sharks just a few points out of the playoffs. One of the worst teams in the NHL. So the strongest division in hockey is obviously the Metropolitan. There's no question about that. Atlantic's top heavy. Central's good, I guess pretty good. The Western Division's not very good at all, or the Pacific Division. So 2014 playoff. How does that work? I think I read through the proposal. So again, you have 6 teams in the division. You could make it like the NHL playoff, or maybe like the NHL playoff. Since again, you don't want teams like the Detroit Red Wings and Ottawa Senators playing right now. You don't want teams like the Sharks and Kings, some of the worst teams in the league, still playing right now. And even somebody like the Ducks, who again could be in position to win the draft lottery, instead might have to play playoff games. So sure, maybe they have an opportunity. So again, do you do it like it is in the NFL? You could do a best out of 3, 1 versus 6. So have the Sabres play the Bruins. So again, the Bruins have 30 more points than the Sabres, who obviously are well on their way to missing the playoffs again against the President's Trophy winning Bruins team. And then maybe you have the Canadiens, and then the Lightning, Canadiens, and then 3-4, I don't know, or 4-5, so 1-6, 2-5, and then the 3-4, or the 4-5, and do first round buys, and have those teams play it out to see who's in the playoffs. You could do that, and then so right now you have 6 teams, and then Washington, the Capitals, maybe they play the Islanders, who are just 1 point ahead of the Rangers. The Rangers, sorry, people on Long Island went over the Rangers. It's going to be talked about for years in New York hockey. So you have the Capitals play the Islanders, and the Blue Jackets play the Hurricanes, or the Penguins play the... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Caps, Flyers have a bye, so then it's Penguins, Islanders, and then it's Hurricanes, Blue Jackets. Maybe that's a proposal, and then you go down Central. You have the Wild playing the Stars, Predators, Jets, Avs, wait, and you could do the best highest seed plays the lowest seed remaining. You could do that, and then Vegas plays Anaheim, and then the Coyotes play the Flames, Ducks, Canucks, Coyotes, teams that otherwise would have missed the playoffs. So again, that's an interesting proposal, and I'm interested to see how it potentially works. And then you have the Oilers, whatever, and you have these teams waiting, ready to play in the playoffs. So again, that's an interesting proposal. I mean, believe it or not, if things would have been on time and if this was a normal year, the NHL regular season would have been over for almost a month now, believe it or not. I mean, that's how far we've come. So again, here we are right now. So these are our playoff proposals. So how do these work? And then so then you have 24 teams, and it's cut down. 2 teams are eliminated in each division. That's 8 in the entire league. So then you have the normal playoff, and then I think you should reseed. The highest seed plays the lowest seed remaining. Should be like the NFL playoffs, potentially. I think that's how it should work. And then you have the division semifinals. Then you have the league final fours, sort of like March Madness, where all of the division winners potentially meet. Maybe in the Eastern Conference you have, and this is sort of how it works now, where you have basically the best team out of the Metro against maybe Atlantic, like we thought for weeks. I was hoping it'd be Washington, Boston in the conference finals, right? And then maybe on the other end, Avs, Oilers for that example. So again, best team out of each division. That's usually how it normally works. So then you have a league final 4, and then they meet, and then who knows where the Stanley Cup Finals will be this year? It's not going to be in Washington. It's not going to be in Washington with 20,000 people packed in the arena and tens of thousands of more people outside. There's not going to be the Caps in the Stanley Cup this year. There's not going to be hundreds of thousands of people gathered. So again, this is just a proposal. 24 teams. I don't know how this is going to work until we actually know for sure, but this is what the league wants. So NHL starting in December last year. Yes. I have heard of December starting since, again, they want fans in the arenas. They don't want, they're not going to start in October this year like they normally do. They usually start when the MLB playoffs start. NBA usually starts right around the time the World Series starts. That's not happening this year. So again, is this just a 1 year thing? And then let's just say that the NHL, NBA, they're on the same page. They end in July instead of June, so they end maybe 6 weeks later in midsummer again next year, and then maybe 2022 do they finally go back to June, their finals in June as opposed to July? I don't know. So again, our sports schedules. So let's just talk about sports schedules. This is kind of me personally, what I do when I study sports, and then this is maybe other people, what they might, and this is maybe like the leagues in general. So right now we obviously know what it is. So let's just quickly run down, and this is kind of a closing remarks, what sports usually is right now and what it is. So obviously April, nothing. Normally, first full month of the MLB season, NHL, Stanley Cup playoffs, wrap up, NHL, NBA wrap up the regular season, start their playoffs. May. This May, probably nothing, but just proposals. We'll probably have some ideas, and hopefully by the end of the month, we'll know what potentially could happen. And yeah, it could be nice to, watch some live games again, have something to occupy it for a while instead of, watching old games. Like, again, I've watched more old games, or there's plenty of old games to watch, but it's just not the same. Okay, May, probably nothing. Normally May, it's usually the second round of the playoffs. Conference finals start usually by the end of the month. You know who's in the league finals. In some years, the NHL usually starts Stanley Cup finals start on Memorial Day, which again, we should be just a little more than 3 weeks away from the Stanley Cup finals. And the NBA finals might, depending on the year, might start on the last day of May or from the first few days of June. And then there's a league champion. That's sports normally. And this is only the major four sports we're talking about, since it's also the baseball and softball championships as well in the month of June for colleges. July, normally just Major League Baseball, that's it. And then there's some NFL talk increasing, and NBA free agency for the first few days of July, sure. But it's mostly it's all Major League Baseball. August, all Major League Baseball in terms of live, meaningful games, and then NFL preseason. Then September, you have the NFL, NBA, or NFL and MLB. October, MLB playoffs, NFL's second month. That's usually the month I pay the least attention to for years. And then NHL starts, NBA starts. And then November, NHL, NBA during the week, NBA on the week, the NFL on Sundays. Not to mention Monday and Thursday. And then you have college football in September, October, and November as well. So we're in November now. December, same thing. NFL on Sundays, NBA, NHL during the week. And then we obviously know what January is. Right? So this is kind of the rest of the sports league. So these are kind of what the leagues do. This year, June, MLB maybe starts towards the end of the month, 3 months late for that matter. NHL, NBA potentially starting their playoffs, whatever they're doing. July, NBA, NHL playoffs, MLB first full month. August, MLB season, plus NBA and NHL maybe wrapping up sometime in early August. September, it's interesting. We hope the NFL starts on time. That's another proposal. What's the NFL doing? And they might potentially delay. They could delay. Maybe the Super Bowl is played in late February or even in early March this year. So league years are altered in some ways. The sports calendar is altered. So again, all MLB and NFL, October, MLB, regular season, not the playoffs like it normally is. Think about how special last October is. That's not happening this year, one way or another. Since even if things were normal, I would not get to do the same thing. I'm too busy. I'm training. I'm doing too much. I can't go anywhere this fall. But again, you have MLB season wrapping up. Very different formula. Maybe we'll have some fans in stadiums. So if there was social distancing, would you go to games? Sure, I would go to games. But again, it's gonna be awkward. It's gonna be awkward for sure. And then July. So I'm sorry. I'm just. And then November. I'm just saying so many things at once right now. And then November this year, MLB playoffs, NFL season, and then December. This is what the so again. This is not finalized, but both leagues, NHL and NBA, are normally on the same schedule or very close to the same schedules. They are considering starting in December this year, a delayed start. So we have the NFL season, and then NBA and NHL just starting. In January, if things are proceed as normal, you have the NFL playoffs, and then potentially MLB season. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up all the four leagues here. So January NFL playoffs, NBA, NHL, and then gradually the same maybe, and then maybe it's the same thing for a while. Baseball starts on time, that's great, but the only difference is we see the effects of 2020, 2021, and then all of a sudden the NBA and the NHL are playing their finals in late June, perhaps end of July this time around, and then maybe. So the question is with the NBA and NHL is this altered? Is this permanent now? Do they then to start in December and become winter and summer sports as opposed to fall, winter, spring, and some into the summer? I mean, is that and then usually done by the summertime? In June, is that the way it's going to be now? Where on my birthday I'll be watching NBA Finals games and Stanley Cup Finals games, and the MLB will have more competition, say on 4th of July. Is that the case? So is that a permanent thing? That's it. That's an interesting question. I don't think it will be. I think by 2021, 2022, I think they'll be back to normal, at least to their current schedule. And the NBA, I mean, they had that proposal of playing right before this all started, about a week before this all started, the shutdown. They had talks of, and that is the NBA, of potentially having their season start in December and then play into July and August. Well, maybe the National Hockey League is on a different page. Maybe they go back to October. Maybe that's your thing. Or maybe they're November and their finals are in July. I don't know. So again, there's all sorts of different proposals out there. I think NBA and NHL are most drastically affected since they took the biggest effects this year. So that's interesting to see what future sports calendars. Since again, is it possible that on December nights this year, or some nights in November, maybe I'm breaking down tape and spending more time on Game Pass this year, since I don't have the other leagues to watch games for at night. So it's interesting. So again, sports calendars altered. Things are very different, and America's altered too. Things are very different right now. You know what? I wish if I was talking about Caps Penguins right now, I wish we were in the middle of that series. It would have been. We could be getting ready to talk about Game 5, and this is a big Game 5 right now. As Washington has a 3-1 lead on Pittsburgh. Game 5 is in Washington. Can the Caps advance to the conference finals for the second time in 3 years? Well, on the other side, it looks like Bruins and Lightning are having quite a battle at 2-2. And on the other end, we have the Blues and the Avs in the great series, and then it's Oilers. I wish I could be talking about that. Or in the NBA, you could be saying, and right now, the Bucks have advanced, and this Rockets Jazz series is headed for Game 6. Like, I wish I could be talking about these things that I normally do, but I'm not. Look, there's not been a live sports game in 51 days to be exact. 51 days to be exact. 50 days ago is when everything shut down, the great shutdown. So the question is, where's college basketball going? Where's March Madness going? That's another question. Could we have 2 lost March Madness? What do you have college athletes now? It could just be too bad, so sad. I'm sorry it didn't work out this way. Just what I've heard of college football is, look, I want to go back to school. I want to be on radio this fall. I want to be doing live games, but we don't know. So there's just so much uncertainty right now. What I talked about everything in sports is I'm just making guesses. Nothing is official yet, and when it is official, I will talk about it. But if this is the current sports plan right now, this is what it is. And what it is tomorrow will be the same thing. So I'll look for updates. I will look for alerts. I was glad to kind of give another update. I know more now than what I did 4 weeks ago, or what I did 7 weeks ago for that matter. So again, we won't have a Stanley Cup Finals or NBA Finals with fans traditionally until 2021, and that is not a guarantee then. So, question is, this is one of the greatest events in American history, and everything is altered right now. So again, I'm going to be patient, waiting for sports. Whatever happens, happens. If they say, you know what, we're not going to do it, forget about it. Money's not everything. I know our league's lost money. We'll make it up later. It's just not safe. Sports is not the answer. And they say we're not going to do it, then that's okay. I'll be okay with it, you know. So we'll just see what happens there. So again, thank you for listening. This is Burke Lyle Sports. This episode was on MLB, NBA, and NHL and what's going through their leagues. Thank you for listening.